Hyunwoo glanced at his crew. He saw determination reflected on every face. Supreme Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We are a stubborn species. We do not back down from threats. We do not surrender what is ours. This sector is now human territory. If you want it back, you will have to take it from our cold, dead hands. There was a pause. So be it. May the Dominion's judgment fall upon you. The transmission ended. All ships, battle stations. Hyunwoo ordered. Formation Omega-7. Prepare to execute Protocol Cascade. The human fleet, now over 100 vessels strong, began to spread out across a much wider front. Unlike their previous fight, they were not facing a compact enemy formation. The Valkyrie had learned from their defeat. They deployed in a dispersed pattern that would make it harder for the humans to achieve the same devastating effect. They have adapted their tactics, Commander Minseo observed. Wider spacing between ships. Layered defenses. Dedicated point defense vessels positioned to intercept kinetic projectiles. Good, Hyunwoo said. That means they respect our capabilities. It also means they are fighting our fight instead of their own. Enemy fleet advancing, G1 reported. Speed is cautious. They are maintaining formation integrity. Weapon status? Hyunwoo asked. All rail cannon systems charged and ready, Minseo answered. We also have the new missile systems online. Antimatter warheads with evasive programming. Hold missiles in reserve. Rail cannons only for the opening salvo. Hyunwoo watched the tactical display, calculating angles and trajectories. We taught them to fear kinetic weapons. Now we are going to show them something new. The fleets closed to within 500,000 kilometers. The Valkyrie were being extraordinarily cautious. They advanced at a fraction of their top speed. They gave their sensors time to track every human vessel. Enemy fleet is spreading even wider, Taeyang noted. They are trying to surround us. They want to force us to divide our fire. Let them think they are succeeding, Hyunwoo said. All ships calculate firing solutions on the outer vessels of their formation. Target engines and drive systems only. Minseo looked up in surprise. Sir, not killing shots? Not yet, Hyunwoo confirmed. We are going to teach them a different lesson this time. The range closed to 400,000 kilometers. 300,000. The tension on the bridge was thick enough to cut with a knife. 250,000 kilometers, G1 announced. Valkyrie fleet is powering weapons. Fire, Hyunwoo ordered. The human fleet unleashed its rail cannons in perfect synchronization. Over 600 tungsten rounds crossed space at near light speed. But this time they were not aimed to kill. Each projectile struck with surgical precision. They disabled drive systems and crippled mobility without destroying the ships entirely. 63 Valkyrie vessels suddenly found themselves dead in space. Their engines were shattered. Their ability to move was gone. They drifted helplessly, still intact but effectively removed from the battle. Enemy formation disrupted, G1 reported. They are attempting to adjust, but the disabled vessels are blocking their advance in multiple areas. Secondary targets, fire at will, Hyunwoo ordered. More rail cannons spoke. More Valkyrie ships lost their drives. They became floating fortresses with no ability to pursue or retreat. The enemy fleet's carefully planned formation was falling apart. Ships collided with the wreckage of their comrades. Others were forced to navigate around disabled vessels. They are not dying, Taeyang said quietly. You are dismantling them piece by piece. I am making a point, Hyunwoo corrected. Killing them is easy. We proved that 3 weeks ago. This time I want them to understand that we can disable them. We can board them. We can capture them. I want them to feel helpless. The Valkyrie Supreme Admiral seemed to realize what was happening. His fleet began a desperate advance. They tried to close the range before more ships could be crippled. Plasma cannons opened fire, filling space with crimson death. Evasive maneuvers, Hyunwoo ordered calmly. Continue targeting protocols. The human ships danced through the plasma barrage. Their smaller size and superior agility allowed them to avoid most of the assault. A few hits landed, but the shields held. Meanwhile, the rail cannons continued their methodical work. They dismantled the Valkyrie fleet one ship at a time. Enemy count at 714 vessels operational, G1 reported. 139 disabled. They are attempting to retreat. Do not let them, Hyunwoo said. All ships advance. Cut off their retreat. Show them there is no escape. The human fleet surged forward. Their engines burned bright. The Velkhari realized they were being outmaneuvered. They tried to form a defensive sphere around their flagship. It was too late. Human vessels punched through their lines. Rail cannons fired in continuous sequence. Supreme Admiral Keth Ral's flagship, the Dominion's Wrath, took a dozen hits to its engine assembly. The massive dreadnought shuddered. Its drives failed one by one until it hung motionless in space. Target the enemy flagship's communications array, Hyunwoo ordered. I want them to watch this but not be able to coordinate their response. A single tungsten round destroyed the Dominion's Wrath's command antenna. Now, Hyunwoo continued, deploy the new toys. From the human dreadnought, swarms of smaller craft launched. They were autonomous boarding drones. Each one was equipped with cutting lasers and electronic warfare systems. They descended on the disabled Velkhari vessels like locusts. They cut through hulls and infiltrated ship systems. Boarding operations underway across 37 enemy vessels, Sang-woo reported from security. Drones are encountering resistance, but they are overwhelming the Velkhari point defense systems. On the viewing screen, the battle had transformed into something the Velkhari had never experienced. Their ships were not being destroyed. They were being captured. Their crews were forcibly ejected into space in escape pods or detained by automated systems. It was methodical, clinical, and utterly unstoppable. Enemy fleet is in full retreat, Ji-won announced. Remaining vessels are attempting to jump to hyperspace. Let the outer ships go, Hyunwoo ordered. But disable any vessel within 100,000 kilometers. I want a good portion of this fleet captured intact. The next hour was chaos for the Velkhari. Those ships that could escape did so. They limped back toward Dominion space with tales of horror. Those that could not became prizes of war. They were boarded and seized by human forces. When the battle finally ended, the score was devastating for the Velkhari. Of their 853 vessel armada, 372 had been disabled and captured. 118 had been destroyed when their crews triggered self-destruct systems rather than face capture. The remaining 363 had fled in disorder. Velshi produced a holographic display. Star charts and trade routes appeared in the air between them. The Thalrex Confederation has been constrained by Velkhari aggression for centuries. They demanded tribute from us. They restricted our trade routes. They seized our vessels if we did not comply with their arbitrary rules. Now suddenly they are gone from this entire sector. And you see an opportunity, Hyunwoo finished. We see a potential partner, Velshi corrected. The Confederation wishes to establish trade relations with humanity. We can offer advanced medical technology, rare elements from our home nebula, and most importantly, information about the political landscape of this region. In return, we request access to several trade routes through human claim space and protection from Velkhari retaliation. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. Protection? You think they will come after you for dealing with us? Admiral, the Velkhari do not forgive. They do not compromise. If they cannot have this sector, they will ensure no one else profits from it. Trade vessels, colony ships, mining operations, all will be targets. Velshi's compound eyes fixed on Hyunwoo, unless, of course, those vessels and operations are defended by the fleet that destroyed 200 dreadnoughts in 4 minutes. You make a compelling case, Hyunwoo admitted. But I need to consult with my superiors. This goes beyond military authority. We are talking about formal diplomatic and economic relationships. Of course, I can wait. Velshi gestured to the star charts. In the meantime, allow me to share what we know about the other powers in this region. You have made quite an impression, Admiral. Not all of it positive. Over the next hour, Velshi briefed Hyunwoo on the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and conflicts that defined local galactic politics. Some species were impressed by humanity's display of force. Others were terrified. A few were actively hostile. They saw humans as disruptive newcomers upsetting the established order. The Velkhari had enemies, Velshi explained, species they have oppressed for generations. Many of those will likely approach you, seeking alliance against a common foe. But be cautious. Some may simply want to use humanity as a weapon against their rivals. And what does the Thalrex Confederation want? Hyunwoo asked directly. Velshi's mandibles clicked again. Profit, Admiral. We are merchants, not conquerors. We simply want to conduct business without being subjected to Velkhari piracy and tribute demands. If aligning with humanity allows that, then we will be the most loyal trading partners you could ask for. Hyunwoo appreciated the honesty. I will forward your proposal to Fleet Command. In the meantime, you are welcome to begin preliminary discussions with our colony administrators about establishing trade posts. Excellent. Velshi stood. Its exoskeleton reflected the conference room lights. One more thing, Admiral. The Velkari are not known for accepting defeat. Their core fleets are 10 times the size of what you just destroyed. When they learn what happened here, they will respond. Let them, Hyunwoo said calmly. We will be ready. After Velshi departed, Captain Tae Yang entered the conference room. Sir, we just received reports from our long-range scouts. Velkari military transmissions have increased dramatically in the last 72 hours. They are mobilizing. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. Sooner than I expected, but not surprising. Estimated time until they can mount a counter-offensive? 3 to 4 weeks based on their fleet movement patterns. They will need to consolidate forces from several border regions. More than enough time, Hyunwoo said. Contact Fleet Command. Tell them we are going to need reinforcements. Not because we cannot handle the Velkari, but because we need to make a statement that is impossible to ignore. What kind of statement, sir? Hyunwoo smiled grimly. The kind that ends wars before they begin. 23 days after the destruction of the Velkari occupying fleet, the enemy returned in force. Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, now surrounded by an expanded human fleet. Reinforcements from Earth had arrived. 40 additional cruisers, 15 heavy destroyers, 5 dreadnoughts of humanity's own design. The human presence in the sector had grown from a strike force to an occupation fleet. Enemy contacts emerging from hyperspace, Ji-won announced. Multiple signatures. Counting 853 vessels. Composition includes dreadnoughts, battlecruisers, carriers, and support craft. Captain Tae Yang whistled softly. They are not taking chances this time. They are making a point, Hyunwoo corrected. This is the largest military deployment the Velkari have made in a century. They want to overwhelm us with pure numbers. They want to make an example of humanity to discourage other species from challenging their authority. On the viewing screen, the Velkari armada spread across space like a crimson tide. Their ships were arranged in multiple defensive layers. The heaviest dreadnoughts were at the core. Screens of lighter vessels surrounded them. It was a formation designed to withstand any conceivable assault while bringing devastating firepower to bear. Incoming transmission from the enemy flagship, Daejung reported. They are broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Hyunwoo ordered. The voice that came from the speakers was different from the previous Velkari commander. It was deeper, more controlled with an undercurrent of cold fury. Human vessels. I am Supreme Admiral Kethral of the Velkari Dominion. You have committed an act of war against our sovereign territory. You have destroyed a Dominion fleet. These crimes demand retribution. Hyunwoo picked up the communication device. Supreme Admiral Kethral. I am Admiral Hyunwoo. Your previous fleet was destroyed because it threatened human lives and property. If you are here for revenge, you will suffer the same fate. Arrogant words from a species barely out of its home system. Kethral responded. Your ambush of Fleet Commander Velkos was lucky for you. He underestimated your capabilities. I will not make the same mistake. This armada represents 3% of the Dominion's total military strength. It is enough to reduce your pathetic colonies to dust and your fleet to wreckage. 3%? Hyunwoo replied. That is almost flattering, but you are going to lose it all the same. We shall see. You have one opportunity to surrender. Abandon this sector immediately, and I will grant you the mercy of survival. Refuse, and I will ensure that humanity becomes a cautionary tale for the next 10,000 years. The commander checked her displays carefully. Minor damage across the fleet. The Dauntless has some hull scoring from a near-miss plasma bolt. The Resolute has a damaged sensor array. The Victorious reports 3 crew injuries from a hard turn during evasive maneuvers. Nothing serious? No deaths? No ships lost. Have the damaged vessels fall back for repairs. The rest of the fleet will proceed with claiming this sector. Hyunwoo stood and walked to the viewing screen. He studied the debris field floating in space. Mincio, upload the complete tactical recording of this battle to the fleet database. Make sure every ship captain in the Navy gets a copy. This will become required study material at the Academy. Already done, sir, Mincio replied. I suspect this battle is going to rewrite our entire tactical doctrine. It already has, Hyunwoo said. Everything we just did was theoretical until today. The rail cannon systems, the evasive algorithms, the targeting solutions. All of it was designed in simulations and lab tests. Now we know it works in actual combat. Lieutenant Dae-jung turned from his station. Sir, we are receiving analysis from the recovery drones. They found 73 Valkyrie survivors in escape pods and in pressurized sections of destroyed ships. They are requesting instructions. Bring them aboard the Indomitable, Hyunwoo ordered. Medical teams are to treat any wounded. Security teams will process them as prisoners of war under the Outer Space Accords. Give them food, water, and proper quarters. Tae-yang raised an eyebrow. Generous treatment for an enemy that shows no mercy to others. That is precisely why we do it, Hyunwoo explained. We want them to go home with stories about how humanity fights with overwhelming force, but treats prisoners with dignity. It will spread confusion in their ranks. It will make them question their leadership's propaganda about us being primitive barbarians. He smiled grimly. Plus, the intelligence we gather from questioning Valkyrie military personnel will be invaluable. Over the next several hours, the human fleet organized itself. Engineering teams surveyed the debris field. They cataloged Valkyrie technology for analysis. Science teams studied the wreckage of the massive dreadnoughts. They made notes about alien metallurgy and shield generation systems. In the Indomitable's medical bay, Dr. Yoon-ji worked on a Valkyrie officer who had been pulled from an escape pod. The alien looked somewhat like a reptile. It had scaled skin and multiple eyes. Its breathing was labored. Several limbs appeared to be broken. Will it live? Asked Commander Sang-woo, head of ship security. He stood nearby with 2 armed guards. Dr. Yoon-ji corrected. The Valkyrie have gender distinctions similar to humans. And yes, he will live. Fractured ribs, some internal bleeding, but nothing we cannot handle. She gave the alien a sedative and watched his vital signs stabilize. He is lucky. Most of his crew were not. The Valkyrie's eyes flickered open. They focused on the human doctor. He tried to speak, but only a hissing sound came out. Do not try to talk, Yoon-ji said gently, though she knew the alien probably could not understand her. You are safe. We are treating your injuries. The translator unit on the medical bed beeped. It processed the Valkyrie's hissing into words. Why not kill me? Yoon-ji paused, thinking about her answer. Because that is not who we are. We destroy your ships, yes. We defend ourselves with absolute force, but we do not murder the helpless. The Valkyrie's multiple eyes widened. Impossible. Soft species always die, always. We are strong. How did you do this? You were strong, Sang-woo said from behind the doctor. You are not anymore. Humanity is the apex predator in this sector now. The Valkyrie made a sound that the translator showed as bitter laughter. Apex predator, yes, we thought the same. 3,000 cycles we thought the same. His eyes began to close as the sedative took effect. Tell Dominion. New predator, new. The alien fell unconscious. Dr. Yoon-ji checked the monitors and nodded satisfied. He will sleep for several hours. When he wakes up, he will be coherent enough for questioning. I will inform the Admiral, Sang-woo said, then paused. Doctor, what do you think this means? For humanity, I mean. Yoon-ji pulled off her surgical gloves and threw them away. I think it means we just announced ourselves to the galaxy in the loudest way possible. And I think many species are going to have to recalculate how they interact with us. She looked down at the sleeping Valkyrie. This one called his species apex predators for 3,000 years. Now he is lying in our medical bay. He is being saved by the soft species that destroyed his fleet in 4 minutes. She shook her head slowly. The galaxy just got much more complicated. 3 days later, the human fleet received its first diplomatic contact. Sir, incoming transmission, Dae-jung announced. Source is a vessel calling itself the Merchant Concordance. They fly under the flag of the Thalrex Commercial Confederation. They request permission to approach and open negotiations. The Thalrex? Tae-young pulled up data on his console. They are one of the major trading powers in this region. They stay neutral in most conflicts. They focus on commerce rather than territory. Perfect, Hyunwoo said. Grant them approach clearance. Full diplomatic protocol. We will need trade relationships if we are going to hold this sector long term. The Thalrex vessel looked very different from anything in the human fleet. It was more like a floating marketplace than a warship. It had many communication arrays and docking ports. It approached slowly, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. An hour later, Hyunwoo sat in the Indomitable's conference room. Across from him sat the Thalrex trade delegate. The alien looked like an insect. It had a hard exoskeleton and compound eyes. Its translator turned its clicks and chirps into smooth, businesslike words. Admiral Hyunwoo, the delegate began. I am Trader Captain Velshi. My confederation has observed your intervention in this sector with great interest. Intervention is one word for it, Hyunwoo replied. We prefer liberation. Velshi's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Semantics aside, you have accomplished something remarkable. The Velkari Dominion has held this region through military superiority for longer than most species have had spaceflight. You eliminated their occupying fleet in less time than it takes to negotiate a standard trade contract. The Velkari made their intentions clear, Hyunwoo said. We responded appropriately, indeed. Which brings me to why I am here. The Velkari flagship, the Eternal Dominance, took a direct hit at its middle section. The 8-kilometer ship that had killed entire species broke into 2 pieces. Air rushed out from both halves in massive frozen clouds. The fusion reactors inside suddenly lost containment and exploded in sequence. Nuclear fire added to the devastation. Second wave fire, Hyunwoo ordered. Another 564 rounds launched from the human fleet. The targeting computers had already adjusted for where the Velkari ships were trying to move. The massive alien dreadnoughts were simply too large and too slow to avoid weapons that arrived with only 1 second of warning. More ships died. A Velkari cruiser took a round through its engine section. It tumbled end over end, engines failing. It crashed into another dreadnought. Both vessels became a single expanding cloud of wreckage. Enemy fleet is trying to spread out, Tae-yang said. They are breaking their formation. Too little, too late, Hyunwoo replied. Third wave, fire at will. All ships pick your own targets. Priority goes to vessels trying to charge weapons or jump drives. The human fleet, still weaving through space, continued their methodical destruction. The rail cannons fired in sequence now. Each weapons officer selected targets with cold precision. One Velkari vessel managed to bring its shields to maximum power. It tried to weather the storm. The first tungsten round completely depleted the shield. The second round, arriving microseconds later, cut the ship in half from front to back. Commander Min Seo's voice held awe. Admiral, we have used 60% of our rail cannon ammunition. Enemy fleet is down to 43 vessels. They are trying to retreat. How long until they can jump away? Hyunwoo asked. Their remaining ships need at least 90 seconds to power up their jump drives, Ji-won answered. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. Continue firing. No survivors. The bridge fell silent for a moment. Captain Tae-yang stepped closer. He lowered his voice. Sir, they are trying to run. Surely we have made our point? The admiral turned to face him. Tae-yang saw something hard in his commander's eyes. Captain, the Velkari have exterminated 17 civilizations. They have enslaved countless others. They came here expecting to do the same to us. He pointed at the screen where another Velkari ship exploded under rail cannon fire. We are not making a point. We are sending a message to every species in this galaxy. Humanity will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. We will not tolerate threats. He raised his voice to address the entire bridge. The Velkari doctrine is built on fear and overwhelming force. They have never faced an opponent that could match their technology, much less exceed it. Today we are teaching the galaxy a new lesson about humans. Another Velkari dreadnought took multiple hits and detonated. Its plasma reserves cooked off in a miniature supernova. 21 enemy ships remaining, Ji-won announced. Several are broadcasting surrender signals. Jam all their communications, Hyunwoo ordered. Continue firing. Lieutenant Dae-jung hesitated, then carried out the order. Around the bridge, Hyunwoo saw the looks on his crew's faces. Uncertainty, discomfort, but also understanding. They had all seen the intelligence reports. They had all read about the worlds left lifeless by Velkari plasma bombardment. 14 ships remaining. 8 ships. 3 ships. Ji-won's reports came in steady succession. The last Velkari vessel was a destroyer that had hung back from the initial fight. It made a desperate run for the edge of the system. Its engines burned at maximum power, pushing the ship beyond safe limits in a desperate attempt to survive. Range extending, Tae-yang noted. 600,000 kilometers and accelerating away from us. Weapons, get a solution on that last target, Hyunwoo said. Min Seo worked her console. Extreme range, sir. Probability of hit is only 43% at this distance. Fire. The rail cannon spoke one last time. The tungsten round crossed the vast distance through space. By pure calculation or perhaps fate, it intersected with the fleeing Velkari destroyer. The ship's back section vaporized. The rest of the vessel tumbled into space, lifeless and dark. "Threat board is clear," G1 said quietly. "No enemy vessels remain." The bridge of the Indomitable was silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. On the viewing screen, the debris field of what had once been the invincible Valkyrie fleet drifted in the darkness. It reflected the light of the distant sun like a field of broken mirrors. Total time passed since the first shot was fired. 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The silence stretched for several seconds before Hyunwoo spoke. "All ships stand down from combat alert. Maintain standard defensive posture. Launch recovery drones to scan for survivors." Captain Taeyang looked up sharply. "Sir, you just ordered no survivors." "I ordered no enemy ships to escape," Hyunwoo corrected. "There is a difference. If there are any Valkyrie who survived in escape pods or in sections of ships with life support still working, we will recover them." He turned to face his second-in-command. "They need to see what happened here. They need to go home and tell their people what humanity can do." Understanding appeared on Taeyang's face. "Psychological warfare." "The most effective kind," Hyunwoo confirmed. He moved to his command chair and sat down. Suddenly he looked tired. "Daejong, open a channel to Fleet Command. Use encrypted transmission." "Channel open, sir." "Admiral Hyunwoo to Fleet Command." "Mission accomplished. Enemy fleet neutralized with 0 human casualties. Request permission to proceed to Phase 2 of Operation Beachhead." The response took several minutes to arrive because of the vast distance between the Indomitable and Earth. When it came, Fleet Admiral Bora's voice held what might have been awe. "Admiral Hyunwoo, Fleet Command acknowledges your report. Analysis teams are reviewing the tactical data you transmitted. The commanders are impressed. Permission granted to proceed to Phase 2. Additional instructions follow. You are to establish forward bases on all habitable worlds in the sector. Valkyrie claims to this space are cancelled by right of conquest." "Well done, Admiral." "Fleet Command out." Hyunwoo allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before turning back to his crew. "G1 casualty report from all ships." The cold darkness of space stretched forever in all directions. In this empty void, 200 massive alien warships moved forward like hunting wolves. They were Valkyrie ships, and everyone in the galaxy feared them. Their red hulls glowed with deadly energy. These ships had destroyed 17 different alien races. They had burned whole planets. They never lost a battle. Admiral Hyunwoo stood quietly on the command deck of his ship, the Indomitable. He watched the alien fleet getting closer on his screen. His hands were behind his back. His face showed no fear. Around him, his crew worked at their stations. They were nervous but ready. Commander G1 looked at her computer screen. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "The enemy ships are 400,000 kilometers away and coming closer," she said. "They are charging their weapons. I see huge energy building up across all their ships." Hyunwoo smiled just a little. "Let them come closer," he said in a calm voice. Captain Taeyang stood next to the Admiral. He looked worried. "Sir, they have 3 times more ships than us. Our intelligence reports say each of their big ships equals 5 of our cruisers in firepower." Hyunwoo turned to look at his captain. "Intelligence is using old information, Captain. They measure us by the standards of every other species the Valkyrie fought." He looked around at his bridge crew. He made eye contact with each officer. "But we are not like the others. We never have been." On the main viewing screen, the Valkyrie fleet kept moving forward. Their biggest ship, the Eternal Dominance, was 8 kilometers long. It was like a floating city of weapons. This single ship had personally killed an entire alien species 200 years ago. Lieutenant Daejong spoke from his station. "Admiral, the Valkyrie are sending a message on all channels. They demand we surrender immediately." "Let me hear it," Hyunwoo said. The speakers crackled. A harsh voice filled the bridge. The computer translated the alien words. "Human vessels, you have entered Valkyrie territory. Your species was warned. Surrender your ships now and your crews will become our servants. Fight us and your species will go extinct. You have 60 seconds to decide." Hyunwoo picked up the communication device. "This is Admiral Hyunwoo of the United Human Navy. We reject your terms. We are here with a message. Humanity claims this sector of space. Leave now or face the consequences." The alien commander laughed. "You claim this space? You with your 47 small ships? The Valkyrie Dominion has destroyed fleets 10 times your size. Your foolishness is noted. Your species will remember this day as the beginning of your enslavement." The communication ended. All ships. Hyunwoo said calmly. Battle stations. Prepare protocol hammer. Across the human fleet, 47 warships began to glow with blue light. They were smaller than the Valkyrie ships. They were built for speed and accuracy, not for scary looks. Each human ship started charging its engines to full power. Enemy energy signatures are spiking, Ji-won said. They are about to fire their weapons. How far away? Hyunwoo asked. 350,000 kilometers. Still too far for them to hit moving targets accurately, Taeyang said. They will want to come to 200,000 kilometers before they shoot. Hyunwoo nodded. That is what they always do. 3,000 years of fighting the same way against enemies who all fought back the same way. He leaned forward slightly. Helm, all ships begin evasive pattern Delta 7. Keep formation tight. The human fleet suddenly started moving in complex patterns. They weaved through space in 3 dimensions. The huge Valkyrie ships could never move like this. The human ships were smaller and faster. They could turn and accelerate in ways that would tear apart the enemy vessels. They are trying to target us, Ji-won said. Their computers are struggling with our movement patterns. 200,000 kilometers, Daijung announced. On the screen, the Valkyrie fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma bolts shot through space toward the human ships. Each bolt could vaporize a mountain. The screen lit up with red death. Evasive maneuvers, maximum speed. Taeyang ordered. The Indomitable rolled hard to the left. Her engines burned white-hot as she dodged the incoming fire. Around her, the rest of the fleet did similar moves. Their computers and quick reflexes were far better than anything the Valkyrie had ever seen. 93% of the Valkyrie shots missed completely. They passed through empty space where the human ships had been moments before. The remaining 7% hit shields that flickered but held strong. Minor damage to 2 ships, Ji-won reported. The Dauntless and Resolute. Both report shields at 85%. All other ships are undamaged. Hyunwoo watched the display screen, thinking carefully. The Valkyrie just emptied their main weapon capacitors. Their guns need 40 seconds to charge again. He turned to his weapons officer. Commander Minseo, you may fire when ready. Commander Minseo was a veteran of earlier wars. She pressed a single button. Firing solution locked. All ships confirm ready. She looked up at the admiral. Sir, this seems wrong. 47 ships against 200? Watch and learn. Commander, Hyunwoo said quietly. Minseo started the firing sequence. What happened next would be studied by military schools for centuries. From each human warship, rail cannons fired. These were not old gunpowder weapons. These were electromagnetic accelerators powered by fusion reactors. They could launch projectiles at 97% of light speed. Each round was a 3-meter cylinder of dense metal, weighing 2 tons. The physics was simple and devastating. Kinetic energy equals mass times velocity squared. At near-light speeds, this equation meant total destruction. 47 ships. 6 rail cannons per ship. 2 rounds per cannon in the first volley. 564 rounds of death crossed the space between the fleets in 1.2 seconds. The Valkyrie shields were designed to stop energy weapons and plasma. They were completely useless against solid metal traveling at such incredible speed. The shields did not even register the projectiles before they punched through. Lieutenant Dae-jung's voice shook as he read his sensors. Impacts across their entire formation, multiple... He stopped, staring at his screen. Sir, my sensors cannot keep up with the destruction. On the viewing screen, the first Valkyrie ship to be hit simply stopped existing. The metal round punched through the bow, and the energy transfer was so violent that the ship shattered into a cloud of debris expanding at tremendous speed. That debris, now traveling at near light speed itself, became more weapons. Chunks of armor, pieces of hull, fragments of equipment, all of it slammed into nearby Valkyrie ships like bullets. The destruction spread through the tightly packed enemy formation like a disease.